Hello and welcome to The Reset, a mental health podcast without all the bollocks. I'm Sam Delaney. My guest this week is the actor and sometime reality star Paul Dangerous. Paul was one of the first ever guests on The Reset a few years ago, and I decided to invite him back because, honestly, we hadn't spoken in a while, and I always find him such brilliant, entertaining and honest company. His ability to be vulnerable and share his own experiences of addiction and mental illness in a down-to-earth way is really helpful to me and to others. And really, he is what The Reset's all about. I honestly didn't know what we were going to talk about on this episode until we started recording, and Paul just took off in the way that only Paul can. I hope you enjoy listening to our chat. Paul Dangerous, welcome back to The Reset.
I love being on The Reset. Thank you, Sam.
You know
Thanks
what,
for having
mate?
me.
You're the first ever guest. We're like, 112 episodes into this, and you're the first ever guest that I've invited back.
No way.
Yeah, I think you were like my third or fourth ever guest a few years ago, and you're the first one I've ever invited back onto this main pod for a catch-up interview. And I was conscious of the fact that you and I hadn't spoken for a while, which is something that is always a shame. And B, because we follow each other on socials, I've seen you've had a really busy year getting involved in some really fantastic stuff with your own charity. I read about you having an ADHD diagnosis, which I thought I was happy for you about. And so I was. It's something that I've been looking into.
Bloody time.
I know. I just think it sounds like it was a very positive thing for you. So I just thought, look, Paul's always got so much amazing stuff to say, so much experience to share. Let's catch up. So, mate, how's your year been?
Do you know what? I got to say, it's probably been the most dangerous Danan year ever.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I know what you're like. You get it out of me. But I don't know if I can share the amount of stuff that I have been through this year. But you know what? I'm still standing. And that is, I felt like doing Tony Montana. I'm still standing, mate. You know, and because the thing is, it's amazing how resilient we can be.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, that addict mentality where we just don't, when we're so resilient, like that willpower. And I know it's not about willpower. Me and my dad goes, no, it isn't about willpower, but it is also willpower that we have, that will to get the drugs or the drink or whatever it may be that your addictions are. And I know I straight away got onto addictions, but because I know you understand. And that's not what this year's entirely been, but my whole life is about, addiction.
Rather than willpower, I see what you're getting at. Rather than willpower,
it's about God's,
the word that I would use is there's a relentlessness to people who are addicts. There is a relentlessness. So willpower, I've got in trouble before for using that phrase. Some people are funny about it.
Yeah,
I used it on the radio earlier this year, and I got a couple of snippy emails from recovering addicts saying you shouldn't say that. And I got their point of view, but I think that relentlessness is something that I've always seen in you. I see it myself. I see it in a lot of addicts. Is that like when you want something, you're like a dog with a bone.
Exactly.
And that can be bad at times because to be honest, of course it can be bad if you're using it to get drugs.
Those poor women.
It can be fucking it can be fucking exhausting, can't it? Because it means your mind does not switch off. Once you want something or you need something done, you don't stop. And I'm guessing that's what you mean. But it's helped you, has it, in this year? Get through.
It's helped me in that kind of like for instance, and I won't go into detail, even though it's the best story ever.
You will go into detail.
No. I basically, and this is an exclusive. I locked myself out of my flat. And I needed to get in, and I was relentless in I'm getting in.
Right.
And I basically, there was some scaffolding. I live quite high up in this building, and I thought, well, I need to get to Tesco's. And I needed to get to the pharmacy, basically, funnily enough. Again, it's like always about bloody drugs, but I needed to get there for my medication, it's important. And that impulsiveness, ADHD mind was like, oh, you could climb out there, go onto that scaffolding, and maybe you'd probably make that that jump into your window.
Well, your window was open.
Yeah, but was like on the other side of this other wall, and the drop was, let's say, about 40 foot, maybe. I'd say to people 50, 60, but it was probably about 40. But it was high, but it wasn't that much of a leap. It was doable, and well, so I thought. And and I go out on the scaffolding, and I just go, well, like, and there was just like this impulsiveness of just do it, man. Like, you're still 12, right? You used to jump and do kung fu and whatever, but not that I'm thinking. I'm just like, just do it. You need to get in there quick. They're closing. Jumped, and for some reason gravity weren't having it.
Wow.
And it was, honestly, Sam, it was the scariest moment of my life when I knew that I was about to drop and fall, and I thought, well, this is it. And basically I fell all that way, and I landed on both feet, and I felt like, like literally like Spider-Man, and my back, like, I thought, oh no, I've definitely, I'm going to be disabled here. Like, I genuinely thought I'd done something so severe. Spun around a few times, dropped to the floor, screamed and realized that my arm literally had stayed up there. It completely came out of the socket. And
Wow.
And I totally and utterly dislocated my arm, and I ripped every single tendon, which are the big, thick, pink things that surround your shoulder, completely severed every single tendon, and bicep came out. I like ripped that. So I had no arm. It was hanging. It was literally come off. And I never dislocated it before. And the funny thing is, I'm left-handed, so it was my left as well. And I play tennis. I love tennis. A lot of people know, like, kind of like, I say I'm semi-pro, but I'm not really. But like, I'm with the LTA. I've got a number and all that. It's, I play league. And it's something that, later on in life, I decided to start again. When you're a kid, you play, and like, it's amazing for my ADHD, for everything. It's just phenomenal. I love it. And out on the court, I'm relentless. I'm like, I'm gonna win. We're not even gonna win. I'm gonna get this point, And anyway, and the ambulance come, and cut long story short, it's the most painful feeling in the world. And obviously, I'm very worried about medication, what painkillers, blah 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 blah. And I'm not going to go into detail of where that took me, but it wasn't nice, and it hasn't been nice, and it's been really tough. And the rehabilitation side and the operation, the shoulder surgeon that I had said he'd never in his life had to put so many anchors, and these are these things that basically they'll hammer down into the bone to then stretch along to the other side to hold your to reattach your tendons. And honestly, man, it's been unreal living on my own, carrying things, being able to not drive, then and now I'm back playing tennis. I've had 11 anchors put in, and it's like what I have gone through, but that's just half the story. I mean, there's so much to it, Sam. And you know what? And I just think, well, I never thought I'd be able to ever play again. And last night, like, they were like, bloody hell, Paul, you've been, and a lot of them don't know. And I'm like, no, I've been out the game for a while, mate. I haven't realised I've not been at the club. And they're like, oh yeah, what happened? And they're like, what? You're playing as good as you, like, all right, my backhand's not as good, but like, for me, like, I didn't think I'd be able to even, do you know what I mean, even wave to you or anything. And even the physio's like, it's unbelievable, your relentlessness of how you can move your arm when it was the way it was. It was in tatters. So, yeah, Sam.
So when was it, mate, that this accident happened?
This happened in late March, April.
Late March. And you were trying to get into your flat so you could get your money, your wallet, so you could
get
go
my
to
keys.
Tesco.
I locked myself out.
Right.
I locked myself out.
And then, just to be clear, it ripped out because you jumped and you were still holding on to the scaffolding.
I must have gone and reached out to the ledge.
And then the weight of your body went down.
Yeah, ripped it off.
Your grip didn't let go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, listen, I
You
didn't
must
look
have
up.
an amazing grip, mate. I mean, it's testament to the strength of your grip.
Well, probably, yeah. I mean, I still haven't worked it out completely, but what's traumatizing is every time I have to come back to my flat, I look up and I see that window, I see that where I jump, and people go, and I swear, if you saw it, Sam, you think, no way would anyone survive that.
So, mate, how many
So,
floors? How many floors up is it?
so it's one, two. So it's like, like I'm not the top, the highest. I'm not the penthouse. I'm in the middle.
Wow.
So you've
Wow.
got, but remember, this is Bath building. I live in
Yeah.
Bristol, near
Yeah.
Bath, and it's that Bath brick, and it's very high ceilings, old
Yes.
school. It's an old mental home. This place, but it turned into luxury flats. It's not a mental home. I don't live in a mental home, but it's beautiful, and it's very calming, and there's a lot of acres of land. I love it. And what's unbelievable is that literally you look up and you think, wow, God obviously don't want to take you yet. And people say you ain't got you ain't got what is it, 9 lives. It's unbelievable. But like, I worry about the act, because you read about ADHD and you look at like I thought I was accident prone. It's not. It comes with it. The amount of accidents that
Mm.
ADHD people with ADHD have because of that impulsiveness, because of that, just not pausing. And like, and also like the way I talk with my hands and everything. God, I could knock out a blooming old lady without knowing.
Yeah.
It, people have to hide their china when I come round to that.
Yeah, you could be Italian, couldn't you?
It's Jewish, isn't it?
It's a bit Jewish, bit Moroccan,
Yeah, that's it.
very
And I'm French.
demonstrative, and French.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So recovery,
yeah.
physical recovery. What's the impact on your mental health when you're going through that level of recovery?
Well, because that was the thing. For me, it was more of a mental side. It was the trauma, and I couldn't get over the fact that, I could have died, and what was I thinking? And that night in the hospital, once they've popped it back in, let's say, like, so basically he goes to me, right, Paul, you've dislocated your shoulder. What we're going to do is going to give you a bit of fentanyl, then we're going to give you a bit of propofol. And I'm like, no, that's what Michael Jackson died of. I'm a big MJ fan.
Mm.
He's like, yeah, but Paul, like, we have to put it back in. Now, I need to warn you, it might not go in completely. I just need to tell you that. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Next minute, I have the best kip of my life. Wake up 5 minutes later, I'm like, I look at him. And this is in intensive care in a Bristol whatever RI or whatever it's called. Bless them, thank you for doing it. I say, you've done it, haven't you? He goes, yeah. I go, did it go in? Did it go in all right? He went like a glove.
Oh,
And I
love it.
swear it was the most amazing feeling. And just put, but then when it all starts wearing off, they go, fuck off, fuck off. They put you in the recovery bit. And I'm there. There's this woman opposite me who's been shot. She's screaming. I'm screaming. We're screaming all night. I'm
Wow.
falling on my knees just to go and have a fag or a vape or whatever. And literally it was a madhouse
Wow.
of this hospital. And then all that night while I was screaming, all I could think of was why would I do that to my little boy, potentially, like, all because I needed to get to fucking Tesco's.
Mm.
Why would I risk him not having a father?
Mm.
Why would I risk my life like that? But I can't be, I want to be angry with myself, but how does that help me? Because the fact is that I I didn't know any better. And everyone goes, oh, you were off your tits. And I wasn't. That's my brain.
Yeah. 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 I can see it. I mean, people get it the wrong way round, that they think that it's the drugs that make you do crazy things. They don't understand. Sometimes, like, addicts
Yeah.
have minds that are so impulsive that like the drugs are just a symptom.
But what I needed the drugs to calm me down.
Exactly. You can be stone cold sober and still do like
Yeah,
completely impulsive things, and that's
absolutely.
what you've done. And
We're
I
wired up
mean,
a bit differently, and I think it was that urge, and yeah, watch this space for the urge coming out soon. But the urge to get into my flat, the urge to get to the pharmacy before it closed, so I could have my ADHD tablets, and the fact of not having them, that impulsiveness, was too much for me, and that
mm,
need to go and get there on time. Now, I probably wouldn't have even made it. But my thing, and also it was bloody cold and it was icy, and I thought I ain't even got my car keys. I can't even sit in my car, and I didn't want to disturb my landlord at 10 o'clock at night. It was just one of them, and
Mm.
it wasn't even like we're giving it too much thought. It's like I will make that jump. That jump is
Yeah,
doable,
no
but
problem. Yeah.
but no.
Well,
Anyway, sorry, I know we weren't even going to talk about, but we can go on
no,
to some other stuff. But
mate,
that is
listen.
honest. I've not told anyone that, and I've
Well,
just told millions.
well, I'm privileged to that you shared it with me, and I, you know, I really feel for you, mate, because like so many of your stories, you know, look, you tell stories in a very entertaining way,
Mm.
so they are funny, but like you tell stories about your life in a way that is funny, but I know that it's like, you know, this is
No, it's
it's
been
been
hard.
tough. It's been
Yeah,
tough, and I can't imagine what it's like. I mean, my dad had a fall this year and broke his arm, and
yeah,
just from, I mean, he's 83, but just like one broken arm, I saw
yeah.
the amount of sort of the ripple effect
Oh,
that caused. All it is a broken arm, and it wasn't
yeah,
nearly as dramatic as what you've described.
yeah.
Well, he is older and he lives
Wow.
alone, and the impact it had on everyone in terms of
I bet.
like the amount of shit you have to do, the amount of stuff that an injury that sounds small has such a big impact on someone's life in terms of
Mm,
what they looking after themselves in very
mm,
basic ways. It has an impact on his mental health, on all of our mental health, because there's a lot
mm.
of worry and stress. So I'm aware, but so that
But
sometimes these things you might hear someone go, "Oh, I broke my arm," and it doesn't
yeah,
sound like much, but obviously, but it seems to me what's bothering you as well is not just that, but it's like you're questioning yourself about why
uh,
you would do it.
yeah, I am, and it's like, well, what more, what other things could God forbid, it's worrying. It's worrying that am I getting worse? Is my mental state getting worse over the years? Am I, I noticed that maybe I don't. There's certain things, and every time I look it up, it's another kind of trait of ADHD. I can't remember simple words sometimes.
Mm,
Simple words like that I would know all the time, and it's funny, and this kind of stuttering a little bit, and this kind of this nervousness, this anxiety that seems to be getting sometimes more than it was, and that takes away this confidence that I have inside me to I don't know, and I worry a little bit about that, but the repercussions of going on pain meds, and it's such a big subject of
yeah.
what do people in recovery do when they have an accident and they have to go on some sort of pain meds? How do they, and they have had history with opioids? I had a codeine problem for years. Suddenly, oh yeah, the doctor's sending you away with a load of fucking, sorry to swear, cocodamol. Like, I don't want that, but I have to, because what
Yeah,
else am I
if
going
not,
to do?
you're in
This,
agony. But
yes,
that stuff, I mean, we know painkillers that can be very addictive, can't they? I mean,
very.
thank God they don't give you opioids in this country, do they? They're like they don't prescribe opioids like in America, but even
They
cocodamol and stuff
They
can
do.
be.
They do. You
They
think
do.
they don't? They do. They do. They do. Maybe not to the extent of their type of
Yeah,
menu. Their
yeah,
menu's pretty
yeah, yeah,
pretty. But we still do those things. But you've got to really and obviously they haven't got all your records. It's only for you, and that's where it comes into the honest program.
mm.
Are you going to divulge that you've had problems in the past to this new doctor that's just giving you a load of propofol and fentanyl, or are you going to go, yeah, man, I'm really going to need a lot to take home with me? What is the addict wants to say, come on, this is a
Yeah,
way of
yeah,
getting those
yeah.
meds.
Oh, I've
But
been
then
there
the
with
recovery, and
painkillers.
it's
Yeah,
that demon and the angel, and I had to work very hard with my sponsor to make sure that I was taking them, by the book and blah blah. But I was really worried, man. It was a really really tough thing, and I actually, I don't need to divulge it on here, but I had to get some help around it. Let's just say that
around the painkillers.
massively.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's a really difficult situation because, like, those things we know they're addictive and they prescribe them, and maybe they don't do enough due diligence in terms of your addictive background when they dish them out because they're quick
Mm.
to dish these things out. But even if they didn't, what's your
Well, they haven't got your
alternative?
records straight
What's your
away, have they?
alternative? as well.
Yeah.
Even if they did know, what's the alternative? What, take
Well,
a
there isn't, and
paracetamol?
there you go. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sam. And that is the point. There is no, and you know what doctor said to me, listen, Paul, if you can come up with a tablet that does what they do without repercussions or withdrawals,
Mm.
then tell me, because we'll be millionaires, billionaires.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because unfortunately what goes up must come down, and unfortunately opioids, codeine, it's all the same family. That poppy plant, man,
Mm,
it's just a weaker version of heroin.
mm. Yeah, yeah.
It's morphine, it's heroin, it's oxycodone, oxycontin, whatever you want to call it, codeine, tramadol, all the same, just different strengths.
Mm,
And unfortunately, they all leave you without it after 3 days or 4 days of taking them constantly. You are constipated and you are withdrawing. And
mm.
it is the worst. It's like, imagine flu times 100, you
Yeah.
know. And that's why when you see on the films and all this, you know, these guys, the train spotting, which is
Mm,
not really the real, well, but the withdrawal is horrific. And then what do you want? Well, you take one of those pills and you don't feel that withdrawal anymore, and it just takes all that away.
mm,
And that's how easy it is to be addicted to those
mm,
type to that. And then what if the doctor ain't giving you it? What, you're going to go on the street and get it?
mm.
Because it's
Yeah,
or you're going to go online, you know.
yeah.
So
Well, I
it's
suppose
like,
it's a short step to heroin as well, isn't it? Really?
course it is. Of
Yeah.
course it is. That's the next thing, possibly. And I don't want to go down that road. No way. And the thing is, for me, I like stimulants. I don't want to feel all drowsy and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
With coke, I don't want to bring you into it,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
like
yeah. No,
cocaine.
exactly. Well, that's what's I mean, changes subject slightly, but with ADHD, which is something that obviously I've been thinking about a lot, because I think it's rare that anyone who's been an addict, and it's rare that anyone who particularly was addicted to like stimulants like cocaine has not read up somewhere about ADHD and thought to themselves, "Fuck me, I reckon I need to get tested for this." The thing that's always scared me about it is that the drugs are effectively amphetamines, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I mean I take Elvance, which is, yeah, absolutely an amphet, but I mean it's very low dose, very pure, very kind of
Mm,
like, it's not like going buying speed on the street or something. Like,
mm.
I know that when I take it, I don't even notice it. All I know is that it does help me focus more, and it helps me kind of like manage my life better.
Yeah.
Whereas if I went and bought a gram of speed, I'd
Mm.
be feeling like I want to rave,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I don't know, like, but it is, yeah, it's that drug, yeah.
Mm,
But
mm.
it's funny because most people that would take like the tablets that I have to take, they would probably be different to the way it's responding to me, you know.
Yeah. How are you right now, mate? How are you doing on all of these things today?
Well, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm all right, but it's affected my family quite a bit, and it's affected just the whole ordeal. Our parents aren't getting any younger. As you say, look, your dad's 8, my
Mm,
dad was 73 last week, and they keep telling me as well, we're not getting any younger and all this
mm,
stuff.
mm,
And I worry, and more because I'm a worrier anyway.
mm.
And someone said, well, I used to hear that's like praying to the devil, worrying. But I can't help sometimes worrying,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the more it gets drummed into me of the fact that I should be worrying, it's not good. So I don't know, Sam. That's a really hard question, and thank you for asking that. And I obviously want to ask, how are you? I'm interested in you because I want to deflect that. But you know what? I'm okay. I've been better and
Mm,
I've been worse.
mm.
If that's okay to say that
Yeah,
to
of
you.
course. And you are a resilient person, mate, and you're full of wisdom. As anyone who knows you and has listened to, like, we've done an interview before, like I say, which people can go back and listen to. You've also come on Club Reset and chatted in that
Yeah.
capacity. You got you've been involved in things like recovery and therapy and just self-reflection for a long time. And you
Mm.
do have a lot of wisdom, and it doesn't mean that you don't always doesn't mean that you're protected from falling into like, you know,
No.
problems or challenges, but you are someone who understands this situation and can see it.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you do get challenges, I think you're armed with a lot of the tools and the wisdom that you need to get through them.
Yeah.
I would think, you know, so
Massively, and I've got a lot of people around me that really care and really that I can reach out to, like yourself. You know, I know
mm,
if I was struggling, I could say, "Look, Sam, can we go to a meeting together, or
mm,
whatever it may be, or you know, I'm really finding this hard, or you know." And I do actually, I do come to you now and again. I know we're not
mm,
spoken for a while, but like you know, you've helped me massively in opening up actually
mm,
by telling me, Paul, these stories, and it's always come from the stories.
mm,
You need to do your own podcast, you know.
mm,
And the morning after with Paul Dangerous has been the most amazing venture for
mm,
me. And I know I've not, and I'm sorry guys that out there that listen to it, that I've not done an episode recently, but I want to do it when, yeah, when it's right, it's right, you know. And it's been a tough year, but it's also been an amazing year. And you know, with Morning After Drama, which is the drama company I have, where you know I've got all these different places where I give drama for free, method acting for the communities with people in recovery or with mental health problems, or even just anxiety or confidence issues. And it's been unbelievable. I mean, the amount of people we've helped, literally the testimonials, people saying it's changed their lives to come and just open up and be silly and
mm.
play characters and just have that healthy escape. It's been tremendous, and that fulfills me and keeps me going. And that is a bit a way of helping myself.
Yeah.
Um, by helping others, you know, they say we can't keep what we have without giving it away, you know. But sometimes I do worry, like I'm giving it all to these people, and maybe I need to, you know, help myself too,
Yeah.
like rather than, and also, you know, I've got a little one, I've got my family, like maybe I should give more to them. Like, I don't know, and
Well, it's
it's
all
funny,
about
isn't it?
balance. It's all about
Yeah,
balance, isn't it? And that's what
yeah,
we're all on. I don't know many people or anyone who's perfected that, but I think
yeah,
we're all trying constantly to
yeah,
calibrate our life every day. Like, am I
yeah,
giving too much to this, a little
yeah.
bit more to that? How can I work this out? And so
So
I think
true.
it's great that you're
Yeah,
doing so much for people because, you
that's
know,
it.
you've helped me a lot. You're very good at talking about these issues, right? Because you've got so much experience of dealing with your own challenges, and you know lots of other people in this community, and so sometimes you can get so involved in other people's problems and being very helpful to them, you forget to check in on yourself. I've told you before, remember to have days off. I've told you
Yeah, I
before,
love
remember to
that.
rest. That's the
Yeah, and
biggest thing that's helped me in my life, is learning to
self
embrace
care.
rest and not feel the need to constantly be productive and working. It took me years to get my head around that. I can see you're a naturally very busy, productive person. You're always on, and that, you know, and so yeah, you've got to make sure that sometimes you can switch off. Do you know what I mean?
But it's lovely, you know. It really stuck with me, that the way you were so kind of assertive in the fact that yeah, Paul, yeah, I have a Friday or whatever day you said it was, I can't remember, and I don't do anything. I don't
Yeah,
answer calls. I don't go on social. I don't need to. I
yeah,
just enjoy it. And you know what? That's the fact that you can sit with yourself. And
yeah,
unfortunately, and it's what the rehab's always said, Paul, the problem with you is you can't sit with yourself.
mm,
You
mm,
need the telly on, or the radio, or
yeah.
this or that, or distraction,
I
you know.
think it's
And
true that we all need distraction, and I wouldn't say that I don't. Like, I will
yeah,
sit, and my idea of switching off is I'll put a
you
record
read.
on and I'll play
Oh,
FIFA or I'll read a book.
yeah,
So I'm not yet at that stage, and maybe me and you will do this one time where we
100%.
will eventually, you and I will go on a silent retreat together, and that will be the biggest challenge of all time: is Delaney
Yeah,
and Danan on a
yeah.
fucking silent retreat. Which one will break first?
We got
But
that's a
it's
documentary.
a documentary, but it's impossible. I mean, neither of us would be able to manage that. But
Never gonna happen.
that's the ultimate. I interviewed a guy once who ran silent retreats,
Right.
and he said to me, "You should come on one." And then he actually said to me, "He goes, you'd shit yourself." And this was some Buddhist, like enlightened fucking geezer who like runs these silent retreats in mountains in Wales. And he was just laughing, going, "You'd shit yourself." And I said, "What do you mean by that? You just told me to go." He goes, "You should come because you'll learn a lot." He goes, "But it'll be so painful for you. But when you come out the other side, your life will be changed forever." And it's always been in the back of my mind. But
Same here.
Look, I do rest, but I'm not so zen that I can do it without a crutch.
Yeah.
But it's like how you choose your crutch. The crutch I used to choose was cocaine and lager. Or it might have been other destructive things. Now, the things that I use to distract myself are sort of a cup of tea and a book, or fucking listening to a record and playing FIFA on my PlayStation. So it could be better, but it could be a lot worse.
I want to say well done for all the stuff you've done. You invite me to your book launch, and I'm sorry because I'm in Bristol. It's not always easy. And I just think it's amazing the things that you have succeeded with doing and the conquests you've had and overcome. And just the fact that you've put your whole life out there. Like, you know, for me, it was like Robbie Williams put everything out there so no one had nothing on him. Yeah. I thought, right, I'm going to do that. So no one's got, so I'm not paranoid thinking, oh, they're going to see me doing that, whatever. I'm just going to be open. You've been so open, and I read your stuff every week. I get your newsletters and everything. And I just think this is amazing. Sam has now followed suit, and it's like, you know, better out than in, you know, let's take the power of it. Let's just actually share our shit. Maybe we might help someone.
Exactly. It's just like you help yourself, and you will help. I always think if it helps one person, great.
Yeah.
And then you get messages from people who've read it, or you've just been very kind, and you sort of think, might have made someone just thinking might plant a seed in their head. Oh, maybe I should check that out, or maybe I should cut down on this. Do you know what I mean?
Or I relate to that, or whatever, you know. And and I love it, man, with you, because I wanted to come on here and talk about how I'm managing a rapper, and we got this single out, and I directed my first music video.
I saw all this. It's great, and I'll put all the links. The charity, the video, and all the other stuff that we haven't got to about. There will be links in the show notes to all of that stuff. And I'll get you on Club Reset soon, which is the one where we get together a few people and we all have a tune made together, and you're always fantastic on that. So we can catch up on more stuff then. For now, we were running late today, so I've got to wrap this up now. But mate, as always, it's a huge pleasure and a privilege to speak to Dangerous Danan. And all I'd say is, mate, it sounds like it's been a really tough year, but you should also focus on all the great things you've achieved and how well you've done to be sitting here today. Still standing, still dangerous, still Danan.
I'm still standing, mate.
All the best,
God bless.
mate.
Thanks, Sam. Love you.
Bye-bye. There you go. That's the one and only Paul Dangerous Danan, still rising to life's challenges with his unique brand of energy and good humour. I wish him all the best in his latest challenges, and I've included links to his charity and other projects in the show notes. Thanks as always for listening. If you like The Reset, why not subscribe to the newsletter at samdelaney.substack.com. There's tons of free content on there. Plus, paid subscribers get bonus pods and newsletters. So take a look. Until next time, gang, have a very Merry Christmas, be lucky, and don't let the dickheads get you down.